Dhyanamoolam Gurumurti Pujamoolam Gurupadam Mantramoolam Guruvakyam Mokshamoolam Guru Kripa. Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. Today is going to be a very interesting subject matter. Let me take you straight to the question rather. The question is, you often say that the silence is more powerful / effective in spiritual journey over God's name. Why do you say that? The Hindu scriptures, especially Bhakti Marga, Bhakti Yoga, glorifies the chanting of God's name, mantra, immensely. All great devotees such as Prahlad Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Meera, Tukaram, chants God's name, sang bhajans or the devotional songs with great intensity. Why then do you emphasize so much on okay, never mind. Why do I emphasize on silence over mantra japa? I think with this, most of you will agree that I disagree. First of all, understand what is japa, or God's name per se. And even if I have to ask still further, what is God's name? Who gave you the God's name? And does the God's name qualifies a particular form of God? And every one of us, we agree that God is omnispirit, omnipotent, and omniscient. And there's only one God. But with each of our faith, we vary in the opinion saying, my God is different from yours and mine is superior. And even among one's own, one may be worshiping several forms of God. So understanding from that perspective, and please feel free to differ. There's nothing wrong in it, and who knows, I'm learning as well with all of you. So all God's name have been man-made. All God's forms are man-made. You have never seen the God, nor you have some kind of solid validation that when you say Krishna or Rama or Christ, This is how it is, because I have seen it, I have experienced it. Anyhow, so the God's name, God's forms, bhajans, there is purpose for it. Understand, I'm not discarding you, but I'm trying to raise you to the level of understanding that what is it? And when I say what is it, I'm not underestimating anybody's God per se. Gods are gods, and with that name, if you can reach to him or her, all power to you. And if you feel comfortable with that, then please don't go away from it. And the reason I said don't go away from it, so far as I'm concerned, so far as the yoga science is concerned, if you use God's name or God's form as an object of focus for the sake of dharma, absolutely all the power to you. Because to quite a degree, and I would say quite a degree, it's a neutral object. Mind you, when I say neutral object, but we are all partial for it. And only certain forms of worship, only certain forms of configuration we would like to worship. So, first let me talk about the form. The form, definitely, all of you will agree, it is man-made phenomena, because neither you have seen nor I have seen. And thousands of years ago, if at all those saints and seers would have seen the so-called God, or so-called that form, they would have at least heard the name. But at that time, there was no camera, no painting, no picture. So you will easily say that these are all man or the artist drawn symbolic representation. Symbolic, mind you. And when I say symbolic, we often hear that a God has 4 hands and 10 hands and 10 heads, and these are again symbolic representation. And at the time of explaining Goddess of Wisdom, Saraswati, it was shown that the 4-handed person, and in one hand is Mala, the rosary, that indicates that in the path of Gnana Yoga, you repeat a mantra. Mind you, I'm not against it, but let me come to it. But that repetition of the mantra, first initially you may go loud, and later on, let it be subtle or silently, as if every cell in your body is chanting that mantra, that vibration sets in. And let us ask ourselves, all of us, has that chanting ever reached to your cellular level, that every cell in the body is chanting that name? And every cell in the body can chant the name when mind is pretty much at mindless state. And ask ourselves also that how often we have reached to that state. And not only this, I would say to the degree, and let's all try it out, just 5 times only, you focus on the image of your image of God, and may it be any God, let's say God X, and looking at it 5 times, just take its or her or his name and see where your mind is, even in this 5 times. Forget about cellular chanting. So to say, dear friend, this one, you have to understand over and over, I would say, no matter which spiritual path you take, all path will lead you to dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Dharana, contemplation. Contemplation leads to dhyana, the meditation. And meditation will lead you to samadhi. So during meditation or during samadhi, do not expect your form of God is there. If your form of God is there, that means it is the play of your mind. Your mind. And mind is not the partial or part of your real self. And your real self is indivisible. And indivisible meaning what? It's a sheer silence. And in this sheer silence, which you experience, is beyond time and space. As soon as you think that you are meditating or you saw God, per se, when you saw the God, the image of the God, and if you believe that to be true, what you are really seeing in the form of a human being, when you see in the form of human being, and surrounding it there is space, and only you are seeing it, not your family members or your friends, that means what? God is not omnipresent. God is just a configuration of what you imagine it to be. And let me not take you into atheist belief, but the abstract noun you got to have heard once or twice so that you initially take the shelter of, for the sake of dharana, God's picture, God's form, God's name, God's hymn or bhajans or songs. Do so. But to study yourself that sound, that music, that song pleases your mind. And there's nothing wrong in it, mind you. It is better to have that pleasing than anything else. But if you're genuinely seeking spirituality, spirit, that's the word. So I think you have to contemplate enough and try to go beyond. In other words, wait for that silent moment. And quite often, in a very humorous fashion, you must have been mentioned that We all are goal-oriented. We want to see that I chanted 108 times God's name, or 10 times 108. I did 10 malas. So you are interested in thinking, oh my God, I will be late at work, but I just completed 8.5, still 1.5 to go. So is your attention is in the name, in its quality, or in 1.5 mala still left to be done? If you're celebrating certain festivals, are you truly interested in the divine blessed food or prasad, or you're just interested in having a food? And try to visit a religious place, and you will find when the food time comes, prasad, lunch or so, all of a sudden the hall gets filled because they are not interested in anything else. And it's okay too. If you will eat that, still some inner transformation may take place. But if you're seeking spiritual upliftment, spiritual evolution, then, dear friend, silence, silence, and silence is the key. And how, if you look at it, I'm not against bhakti yoga. I'm not against chanting the God's name. But have you ever seen that those you think who have realized, and whosoever has asked this question, has a couple of names of the realized soul that they have given. Initially, they are chanting, but they reach to an ecstasy stage that they appear as if they are dead. They are not chanting then, because they are in the zone of silence. So again, all I can say, silence, silence, and silence. And silence is not going to happen we telling, hey, mind, calm down, silent. No, just observe the activities of the mind. That's all. 5 times you were chanting God's name, and 4th time you chanted, and the 5th time your mind went for coffee. So just tell your mind, in the middle of the God's name, you went once for coffee. And next time, when you sit, you remind yourself that I'm here for this 5-time chanting, and I want nothing but the God's name. So what will happen is, japa, the chanting, conscious chanting of the God's name, is called japa. Slowly, this japa will change to ajapa. Means not, or the silent chanting of the God's name without effort. Japa is with effort. You are chanting it. But then you are just sitting and you are in different zone, and your whole body, every cell is chanting. And it appears as if you are listening to the same sound coming from the entire cosmos. And that's how the chanting of Om happens. But we get carried away, whether earth to begin from the belly button or O to begin from here and M here. Do whichever way you want to do. but do not prove wrong and right. Everything is right and everything is wrong. Because ultimately, Om is not to be chanted. Om is to be reverberated from within. And what within? Because it is reverberating in the entire cosmos. And at that time, please, for heaven's sake, do not say that it's a Hindu religious symbol. You can chant Amen, or you can chant Buddha's name, whatever you want to do. But this is just to gather your mind from running around in all directions to a point. That means if I use the word 99 thoughts going in the different direction and taking you in different direction are limited. Chitta Baddha Yoga Dharana. So you are initially putting the limit of the mind not to go anywhere. And once having reached to that limit, then all of a sudden the expansion will take place because you, the observer, will not be there. Let's not also get into the theory. I think I have said enough number of times, but our mind is so geared into daily practices. We've been doing it for 50, 60 years. And that's what a routine we do not want to get out of it. And then you are seeking an excuse saying that while we are hearing, that instead of chanting, observe the silence. You ask yourself, even if you want to chant, chant, but have you even observed 1 minute of silence? And unless and until you observe the silence, how would you know its beauty? And that indirectly, and please, it's not my intention to insult anybody. That means what? You have already taken it for granted that the path that you are walking on is the path to follow. And if I were you, I will try both. Meaning, I will try silence, I will try the other one, and we'll see what really it is. And really speaking, they are not different. One thing leads to the other, and silence is the answer. And those of us have been attending to Mandukya Upanishad, which is on Thursday, the day after tomorrow. In that, we were studying the sixth loka, Sushupti, that is deep sleep state. Now, the deep sleep state, the Upanishad says that it is as good as your realized state, the consciousness state, but there is no awareness. So in that, all your sense organs are absent. They are there, but not functioning. Your mind is there, but not functioning. What is that called? And along with that, if you bring in the awareness, then it's the state of silence. So, dear friend, I hope I make this point relatively clear. Please do not stop your chanting, but let the follow-up lot important stage to be understood, to be realized, and to be enjoyed. And after some time, you will not even feel like coming out of it. Because all the external sound is nothing but adding something to your memory. And so far as memory is there, ego is there. So far as ego is there, there is doership is there. So far as there is doership, okay, individuality is there. And as a result, global encompassing feeling of sarva vyapa, meaning omnipresence, cannot be enjoyed. Dear friends, this Upanishadic wisdom, Raj Yoga, is so deep, so profound. Do not simply get lost into just keeping your eyes forcefully closing and thinking that you're meditating for an hour or half hour or 15 minutes. No, sir. Study of mind and observe where does your mind go. So with this, let me conclude with Shantipat, and I may open for some discussion because this point is extremely powerful. Questioner, I cannot compliment you enough. You have chosen a beautiful question. And please do not go yet. I have still one more suggestion to make. The following Monday is going to be a beautiful group discussion. Every one of us will participate, and I'm going to present to you a chart. But let me conclude this with Shantipat. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. That's it. So, my 12 brave soldiers, do you have any question or agreement or disagreement? Please do so. Please do not go just for a few minutes. Okay? Vijay, do you agree, disagree?
Add one more statement to that.
Yes.
Even though, yes, I do agree to you, but I have a positive justification for that. In silence, we can kind of analyze internally, but when we are chanting the God's name, even though it is not wrong in a way, we are focusing on outside, that the name or the form, we are focusing outside rather than understanding internally. Beautiful. So it's better to be on silent mode to understand what is happening for us.
Thank you, Vijay. Okay. Maheen.
100% agree with everything. There is, I don't think, not me, just me, but in silence, it's the only place that you can get, if anything, become him or her, or that's, I 100% agree.
Thank you. Nina. All of you, rest of you, be ready to save time.
I feel that when I am trying to be silent, I somehow end up falling asleep. So that doesn't,
Okay.
it isn't good.
Basically, understand, if your body is tired, you will fall asleep. If your belly is full, you will fall asleep. Okay? So anyway, it's still, keep on attempting. Mukesh.
I agree.
All
Agree.
right.
Challenging to put it in practice, but I agree.
Okay, Naina Ben.
I agree, but I agree for both the path, provided the chanting, you focus. Like even for 5 minutes, you can focus, and most of the time we don't. We just chant for the sake of chanting.
Pushpa Ben. Mahendra Bhai. Okay. Jayshree go. Okay, Chris.
Yes, I concur with what you said.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Pushpa Ben Mehta. Mahendra Bhai. If not, Jayshree Govin.
I agree. I'm with Naina on this, that it's okay to chant as long as you know why you're chanting. There's it's better than, like you had said, it's better than thinking of other thoughts, negative thoughts. But that's not the end of everything. And silence is you need to go towards that, not stay in just saying God's name, God's name, God's name.
Okay.
Can I say something, Sanaji?
Yes.
As far as I understand, chanting and silence are two different experiences. There are two different experiences as far as chanting and being in silence. You cannot go with chanting where silence you will be, and vice versa. So there are two different experiences. One cannot lead to the other one. It can if you sit silence after chanting, but to me, there are two different experiences.
Okay, good to know. Shaili, I know she will have nice argument. Okay, Shaili, go ahead.
I loved your explanation and I agree with it. I think, however, I just feel that chanting, the mind gets some job to do. So the mind stays engaged. Whereas in silence, sometimes it is good, but then there is some kind of dullness which comes in. And sometimes it's like the mind wants something because it's vacuum kind of thing sometimes. Like there's nothing to hold on to.
Exactly.
Okay. Anyhow, you see, just to lead you to better thinking, you said mind has nothing to do. And actually the whole life problem is because mind has always something to do. Okay? So think about it. And I'm not saying you jump straight into, oh, now mind, don't talk. No, you can chant, but then slowly reduce the voice of the chanting. That's what I tried explaining to you folks, japa, ajapa. That we have been learning, I think, last 30 years or more. But it's okay, we are learning, we're still learning. All right. Do you agree, Shaili? Now she's busy. It's okay.
I have
Her
a
mind is
question,
busy.
Swanaji.
Her mind is busy.
Okay.
Question,
Pushpavali,
Swanaji.
since you came, do you have anything?
Somebody is saying something.
We agreed.
Okay, since those of you agree, at least now put in 1% of effort in it. Let's not get carried away with our 50, 60, 70 years of life, saying that, oh, I've been doing it last 8 years, why change it? Change it on my behalf, for my sake. Okay. Bolo, Shailen, hello.
No, no, I agree with you. So yeah, so I think what the takeaway is to keep doing the sadhana, and maybe that will help in prolong, like having a longer period of silence, and maybe that is the time when all the fear will and the vacuum or whatever we are feeling might disappear.
Might disappear. Okay, very good. At least go with that hope. Very good. I'm glad. And still, if you have any question, feel free to ask. I have yet Yana. Yana,
Hello.
I love to hear from you, dear.
I was driving, so I heard half of the presentation. Just want to know, but for me, I know that I have different experiences when I just meditate in silence or when I'm chanting. The vibration feels differently a little bit, but both of them are calming for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Slowly go. Both of them are calming, and all of you, please pay attention what I'm saying. When you say calming is one thing, okay, but the calming had a couple of phases, meaning something that your mind likes, the mind will come down, and mind will be enjoying it.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the mind wants the escape from the reality.
Correct. And that is not it, because as soon as you escape from the reality, and today is John, tomorrow will be Jim. Okay, so reality needs to be experienced, need to be understood, and then one has to tell oneself, important statement, one has to tell oneself, the problem is not outside, problem is my mind interprets it to be the problem. And as soon as you silence the mind, problem gone.
Yes.
And it's not only the problem gone, but your sheer nature is joy, ananda, that will manifest. But right now, we are thinking that if I will bake a nice cake for Sonaji, I will be happy. Okay? And because you like cake, I like so cake, so you think it will be happy. But then if you are in the state of silence, the cake is there all the time. You don't have to bake or eat. Anyway, with this, dear friend, thank you. You have something to say, Mahim?
I actually have a question. Maybe it's too late or too
No, go ahead.
too detailed. Is to me what the purpose, the main purpose of chanting. To me, I do not understand that. I don't know when you are chanting something in your head and you hear that, that will leave your mind with all that, and the presence of God in that moment cannot be revealed to you because of that sound. To me, I don't understand the purpose of chanting. That's what I'm saying. That's my question.
Okay, the purpose of chanting is you listen to whatever you are chanting. So at that time of listening, your mind will not be going somewhere else. So you are focusing your mind to your sound, and that's good enough.
Okay.
And
So
that you
bas-
eventually keep on reducing the volume of the sound so that your intention and focus increases.
okay. Because I never do that, so I don't know what to chant. So
But now, next time onward, you will never say, I never do it, because you will start doing it. Yes, Naina.
But I have a
Uh,
question.
Okay, hold on 1 second, Jayshree. Naina, let her finish.
I would say, can we do both of them, at different time with different goal? We do meditation, or like you say, dharana, to quiet our mind. But during other time of the day, chanting just to, not for the purpose of silent,
yeah.
but for the purpose of enjoying it, or we can do both. I think I enjoy both of it.
But let me tell you, Mariben, you are counteracting with yourself. Dharana itself is this. You bring in your mind from 100 thoughts to just one thought. That's all.
Yeah, the different purpose is different. That's what I said. Chanting.
Silence will happen. But right when the silence happens, you feel like calling Sonaji. Now, Sonaji, what should I do? I chanted 11 times. What else to do? Okay? No, that is the stage. Just be there. Anyway, Jayshree, next.
Said that she's not comfortable with chanting. So I was wondering, do you have other modes of focusing besides chanting?
Absolutely.
Like breathing or concentrating on something else? Like, is there other modes? Does chanting have to be there?
That's right. No, you don't have to. Okay. Very good question. So with this, dear friend, Hari Om.